All right, we'll call the meeting to order. First order of business, please let me apologize for my tardiness. I had a bit of a personal cross in an emergency. Everything is fine, but I apologize for being a little out of breath and a little bit late, and I appreciate your indulgence. Okay. All right, tentative agenda. Is approval of prior minutes. Excuse me? Oh, well, please excuse me. Of course, we do the pledge. Thank you, Carol. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're back on approval of prior minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion, deliberation, alterations, additions, reflections, comments on the minutes? Seeing none, will we raise our right hand as a show of
I'm going to abstain just because I wasn't here.
one abstention? Two abstentions. Three.
Why do we do it in order?
Please bear with me. Thank you.
So we have a motion.
So, yes,
Three
we,
abstentions, I thought. Well, let's just vote.
all those in favor of approving the minutes? All those opposed? All those in abstention? Seven zero four. All right, thank you very much, Pat. So we are here for the purpose of filling the vacant seat. We have had an applicant submit a letter of interest, and says, "Dear Mr. Mower, my name is Gina Groff, and I would like to officially declare my interest in the vacant seat for the Budget Committee during the 21-22 term. As a 10-year resident of Merrimack, New Hampshire, I have a keen interest in building and funding strong programs to increase the value of our education and overall community. My husband and I currently have 3 little girls, 2 of whom are in the Merrimack School District. So I have a vested interest in the quality, the ongoing success of our schools. I look forward to hearing from you and discussing next steps. Have a great day." Gina, will you please come and join us at the table? And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, that's better. Well, thank you everyone for allowing me to come to your meeting tonight. As you heard in the letter, my name is Gina Groff. I am a 10-plus year resident of Merrimack, New Hampshire. I do have 3 little girls. One of them, Lydia, the youngest, I'm very excited to say just got accepted to the MEEP program at Thornton's Ferry. So she will be starting soon. And then officially next year, I will have 3 students or 3 little kids in Thornton's. I will have Lydia, who will be 3, turning 4. I have Layla, who's a kindergartner, and she'll be going into 1st grade. And I have Liliana, who will be moving into 2nd grade. My husband, Tim, and I both work remotely right now, I think as many of you do. And, you know, as I mentioned in my letter, I've lived in Merrimack for the past 10 plus years, but I don't just want to live in Merrimack. I really want to be a part of the community. And to me, there's really no greater investment in community than helping with the education of our students. I've always been very involved with my children, even at when they were at a very young age. It started when they went to the Merrimack YMCA. I was very actively involved in their PTA, and it continues now through today in Thornton's Ferry, where I am a member of the Thornton Ferry PTTF, Parent Teacher Organization, and also a member of their playground committee. And it's very important to me to stay involved, but especially after last year when I was acting both as parent and teacher, I can safely assure you that these educators need the most support they can get because that is a tough job. I could not do it. So, you know, I really wanted to have a broader outreach and not just affect Thornton's Ferry School, but really outreach to the entire Merrimack school system. I believe that education, you know, a great education system benefits us all. When I first moved here, my 10 plus years is broken up a little bit. So when I first moved to Merrimack, in 2002, I didn't have any kids. But you know, what's one of the first things real estate agents say? Oh, it's a great school system. Or even now, if I were to move, which we have no plans to, you know, I would ask, you know, one of our determining factors would be, well, how's your schools? So I think it really behooves all of us to improve our educational system because not only does it make for a great town, it drives up property values, it attracts businesses and families. And as I mentioned, you know, it's not enough for me just to be a resident of Merrimack. I really want to contribute and be a part of the community.
Well, thank you very much, Gina. Now is an opportunity for the members of the School District Budget Committee to ask questions of the candidate as they might see appropriate. So why don't we start with Lee and we will move around the board.
Good evening and welcome.
Thank you, Lee.
What is your background? Sorry, it sounds a little echo there. What kind of background do you have beyond the school system and what you do already that might benefit this committee?
Well, you know, I've always been interested in budgeting and numbers. Even back in college, when I was in my sorority, I was the vice president of finance. I was the treasurer of the Panhellenic Committee. And then, you know, with all of my jobs, I graduated from University of Northern Iowa, which is one of the only 3 state schools that nobody knows anything about. You know, there's Iowa State, with a business degree in marketing. So through the years, I've been in account management and sales. And really, you know, with outside sales, you are in charge of your own budget. You are in charge of your own accounts. And as the main decision maker, it's really up to you to determine how to allocate those funds in order to bring the most value to your clients. And in this case, the clients would be the citizens and the residents of Merrimack. You know, I've continually, even doing it now as a client executive at my current job with the healthcare analytical software company. It really is up to us, myself being the client executive, to determine, again, based on the client's budgets, what can we do to provide the most value for them? And then more recently, we've really had to work within the budget with the Thornton's Ferry PTTF especially given all of the activities and all the constraints that we've had last year due to the pandemic. We just haven't been able to do all that we need to do. We couldn't fundraise like we wanted to do. And of course, we couldn't do all the activities in person, that we have historically provided. So I think it was very important that with an eye on the budget, we were able to balance what we were able to provide to the students and educators versus, what we had available to us. And, we're continually looking for ways to increase our budget. As being a member of the playground committee, the newly formed playground committee, we're really going to have to keep an eye on the budget. It may seem simple, oh, we'll just buy a few pieces of equipment, it'll be great. But I'm telling you, I'm in the wrong industry because they're so expensive, and it's really going, we're working with the community council at school, we're working with parents, we're working with administrators to really find sustainable equipment within our budget that will, be there in the long term.
Thank you.
Hi, Scott.
Hi. I've got a couple of questions. First of all, thanks for putting your name in the hat and your interest for this. It's very admirable of you.
Thank you.
What do you know about the Budget Committee and the processes and the authority that the Budget Committee has?
So, I'm learning as I go, being newer to the school system because we were at the Merrimack Y before. We didn't really operate under the Merrimack, Budget Committee and the school board. I've learned a lot trial by fire from last year and, watching the school board and watching how the Budget Committee interacts with the school board. And I think that, it's wonderful to have the opportunity to look at the budget, look at the needs of the school system, and be able to sit and talk and say, okay, what do we need, what can we do, and how can we accomplish it? So I understand that there are different steps in the process of confirming the budget committee being one, school board being the other. So it's something that I'm interested in, something that I think is a very important step in the process, because the end goal is really to push out these programs and push out, the funds available for education for the entire Merrimack school system.
Thank you. So just for clarification purposes, the School Budget Committee, and Naomi and Chuck, please, if I misspeak this, correct me. But the School Budget Committee has oversight over the total dollar amount and not necessarily the line item, which is what the school board would do.
Yep.
So the other question that I have for you is, in the event that we were experiencing declining enrollment over the coming year or longer if you stayed on the board, can you make decisions to make cuts without bias, or is that something that would be difficult for you to do based upon having the children in the district?
Well, I think making cuts is tough for anyone, whether they have kids or not. We're all human beings. But, I think a lot, being on the Thorntons Ferry PTTF has kind of opened my eyes to, the realities of the school system. And, quite honestly, with the growth that's happening in Merrimack now, I think it's actually going to be the opposite effect. I think that we're going to have more and more children entering our school system. But, you have to really think of the greater good. And of course, things are going to be hard decisions, but in the end, you have to do what's best for all. You have to do what's best for the educational system in Merrimack. And, no one wants to make those type of decisions, but if they need to be done, I will make them objectively, and with the best interest of our educational system, the kids at heart.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gina, for coming.
Thank you.
One of the questions that I have is sometimes the budget committee is in conflict with the school board. Sometimes for a cut, sometimes for an increase. How do you see that relationship working, and how does that make you feel about being on this committee, knowing that sometimes we do things that might be in conflict with the school board?
I think it's lovely to have a wide diverse of opinions, and I think that it's great that we are all educated and we're all so invested in this community that we have certain opinions, and nobody is ever going to agree on anything. And I think that's why we have the committee, the budget committee, the school board, because they're elected really to be the voice of the community. And I don't necessarily think disagreement is a bad thing. I think it fosters good communication and different ideas around the board. So, I think it's all in how we communicate with one another and really work through it, knowing that we have the best interest, ultimately the same goal as, we all do, of, really investing in our education and in the school system. So I think it's healthy to have disagreements, but I think if there's open and honest communication and there's all the relevant information available, I think that, we will all work as professionals together to come to the best conclusion.
Those three took like every question I had.
I know
I'm
you're
a
gonna sit over
Hawkeye.
here this time.
Yeah. But I'm a Hawkeye.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a
You're
Panther.
a Panther.
Yep.
Yeah, and you wear purple.
Yes, well, purple and yellow. I don't really look good in yellow, but
That's okay. Okay, so if you could use one word to describe yourself, what would that word be?
committed. I think that whatever I do, I put my whole self and my energy in. I work full-time. I have 3 small children. I'm a member of the PTTF and Playground Committee, and I would like to be a member of the Budget Committee. And I think it's all about appropriately managing your time and really being passionate about believing in something, because when something's important enough, you make time. So I think that, once I commit to something, I'm all in, and it's something that I really do believe in.
That's a good answer. And then since you have small children,
Mhm.
so I spread over high school and small children, what do you see as the single most important thing coming up with the changes over the years?
Well, I think that last year has a big impact on, what type of changes that we're looking at. I think that, my focus is returning, normalcy to the children without sacrificing the quality of our education. This last year, we've all been asked to wear so many different hats. The children especially have been through so much, and although they can't always express how they feel, you know that it's impacted them deeply. So really wanting to balance that quality of education with making sure that, as a district, that we have our eyes set on focusing on quality education. We really need to be in a position where we can kind of do a catch-up and make sure that everybody's, at the level that they should be, and that their social and emotional learning is on par too. So, that would be one of my biggest focuses, with an awareness of, obviously current situations, things could change, the knock on wood, the virus could come back, hopefully not. But I think, just ensuring the quality and getting them back, trying to figure out what the new normal is going to be.
It's good. Your turn.
No questions from me. Thank you very much for being here.
No, thank you.
Carol?
I don't know how much opportunity you've had in the past to watch any of the budget committee meetings, but are you familiar with our liaison process?
I am not, no. And I must admit that as having school-aged children, I was kind of glued to the school board meetings, but no.
Okay, well, the short summary of what it is we feel at the budget committee that we want more direct information from the individual departments on what their needs are. And for that reason, we set up subgroups, usually 3 people. It can be 2, it can be 4, to go out to each department and meet one-on-one where they can show us what their needs are in the upcoming budget, what deficits they may have, anything else they want to address with us. And my main point is these meetings normally take place during business hours. Would you be available to do such things?
I would. And Pat did mention that type of program to me. Yes, I would. Like I said, I'm pretty committed. I know what, and I talked very carefully. I talked to Chuck, I talked to Pat, I talked to Gillian. They fielded my many questions, so thank you very much. But yes, so I feel prepared, knowing going in what the commitment is going to be. And, that's what PTO is for.
Yeah, and it's usually only, each person usually serves on either 2 to 3 liaisons, so it's not like a huge commitment, but it is something that we do need to participate in, so.
Understood.
In my view, I think that's one of the greatest assets of the Budget Committee is that one-on-one direct access, so. All
Absolutely.
right, thank you.
Again, thank you for coming. I think we all appreciate it. What in your background or character makes you the ideal candidate for the School Budget Committee?
And I'm sure that there are many very qualified individuals, but I'm here because, like I said, I'm committed and I'm passionate. I have kids in the school system. I'm fully invested in this, going through the pandemic being one of my first experiences with the educational system and trying to be a teacher. I've seen firsthand how wonderful these educators are, how hard they work, and I want to be there to support them. And like I said, it's great to live in Merrimack. You live in town, that's wonderful, but I really like to be involved and I really want to be part of the community. And to me, I think this is a great way to do so because it allows you not only to get firsthand insight, but you're really sitting here with other like-minded individuals who really want the best for our education system. And I think, like I said, education, when I first moved here, I didn't have kids. So I've lived here when I had kids, when I didn't have kids. And I think that one of the most valuable investments we can make is really in our children and in the educational system. And I'm really eager to be part of that, even more so than I am now, just with Thornton's Ferry. It's very interesting to me, and it's something that I'm very committed to and very passionate about.
What, as a School Budget Committee member, do you feel is going to move you out of your comfort zone? And what are you going to do to overcome that?
Well, I don't think we grow unless we move out of our comfort zone. We have to do that every day. I have to do that every day at my job. And moving me out of my comfort zone. I think that, maybe Lori and Scott alluded to it, you're going to have to make tough decisions. And, you're going to have to be comfortable in the end that what you're doing is the right thing for all. So, I'm very personable. I have like to form relationships with, the teachers, and I want to get involved because I want this to be more than just about Thornton's Ferry and about my kids. I want this to be about providing a better experience and enriching the experience they currently have for everyone. So, it may be, I love talking to people, so I think that would be great. But, to make those hard decisions, I think it's going to take anyone out of their comfort zone. But again, you don't grow without doing that. You'd stay stagnant.
My goodness. Hey, Gina.
Hi.
My goodness. Thank you for coming and sitting here and answering all of our many, many questions.
Sure.
A lot has already been covered that I was thinking of. So, really, the only question I have for you is, you're really involved with Thornton's.
Mm-hmm.
So you've gotten to see a lot of what kind of goes on at that one particular school.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is the greatest asset that we have as a district right now?
Our educators, hands down. And I can't say this enough, and I know that I sound like a broken record, but after experiencing COVID and trying to be a teacher to my kids, which they will say I was the worst substitute teacher that ever walked the face of this earth, I think they are our greatest assets. And, you know, enhancing the quality of our education starts with our teachers, with the staff, with the administrators, to give them the budget and the tools that they can use to then teach our children to, you know, and they're the ones who are enhancing the quality overall. So I feel that they are our greatest asset. Their flexibility, their hard work has been unparalleled during the last year, and it's something I've been very impressed with.
Thanks.
Hi, Gina.
Hi, Shane.
I don't have a technical question for you. I'm pretty new here myself. So thank you for coming.
Sure.
And obviously you're involved locally. Obviously you have a vested interest to make the right decisions that you think is right. My one question is, why'd you come back to Merrimack after you left?
So I came back to Merrimack. Well, we actually bought a house in Bedford. Sorry. And then, quite frankly, I got divorced. So we moved. We, you know, met in Bedford, and when really looking at different towns to live in, Merrimack was always on the top of my list. Even when I lived here, you know, I lived right near Horseshoe Pond. I remember we were off on a cruise, and that horrible flood happened. And our neighbors and the Horseshoe Pond people banded together. They put, you know, the sandbags up against, you know, all of our, especially my, including my, you know, lower level that was finished. And I didn't get a drop of anything. There was no damage, and there was damage to others. It's a wonderful community. It really is. It has the greatest people in it. And we had heard good things about the school system. Like I said, I mean, even though we didn't have kids at the time with my first husband, you know, that's one of the first things the realtors say is the school system. And, you know, thinking with my current husband and I now, you know, where we wanted to live, this was at the top of our, really the top of our list of places to be.
Awesome. I did the same thing. So I didn't mean to dig into the
No, that's okay.
that
That's
side of
okay.
things. But yeah, great to have you here.
Thank you.
Hi, Gina. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here this evening. My one question would be, what do you hope to do here on the BudCom? Is there anything that you wish to see improved in the school system that you feel that you would be able to add to?
Well, I'm going to be selfish right now and say AC because I'm sweating and my glasses are fogging up right now. But I think that's the good thing about being on the budget committee. Because I am Thornton's Ferry, it's going to be an awesome experience to see what other schools are doing, what other schools need. I think it's only going to help me, not only at Thornton's Ferry, but in general with the school system and with Merrimack, have a broader experience and really get more deeply involved in what the community really needs. So, I mean, selfishly, I'd like to say air conditioning, but again, like I mentioned before, trying to figure out what the new normal is and trying to really, depending on what that new normal is, really trying to do the best that we can to help the educators.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gina.
Sure.
I will now place Gina's name into nomination and call for a roll call vote. Pat, would you please?
Gillian.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Ellen.
Yes.
Carol. Yes. Lori.
Yes.
Shane.
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Mackenzie.
Yes.
Naomi.
Yes.
Dan.
Absolutely, yes.
Chuck.
Yes.
It's unanimous. 11-0-0.
Thank you, Pat. We have shown rare unanimity And I would like to call for a 5-minute break while Gina is sworn in by our school district clerk and will become our most recent member of the committee. And you can then take your seat at the table when the meeting is reconvened.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can't tell, but I'm smiling. Thank you.
I'll reconvene the meeting. Gina, welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
We
Thank
are
you,
happy
everyone.
to have a full slate of committee members.
I was told I had to bring cookies. Sorry.
Pat, could I ask that you put all correspondence into our official records? Thank you. I originally thought that this might be an opportunity for some training, etc., but yeah, given the state of affairs with COVID this year and everything else, and until we perhaps have a more finite direction, we have some time. And so I decided that maybe it would be better to wait until the fall, until we picked up that baton. So you can thank me for not having to do anything else at this point. So now I will call for public participation. Are there any members of the public who would like to step forward and participate? Seeing none, we will now engage in member comments. Are there any comments that any of the members would like to make at this time? Dan, yes.
Yeah, it came upon me that the public doesn't realize what has happened here. And I want to go on the record so that we know what happened in this last election. We have a new member who lost an election when his name was on the ballot, and it was voted on by all concerned taxpayers and voters. He later applied for the position on this board, and this board chose another candidate. Then this new member signed a petition that sponsored Article 6 to eliminate this board. And then, without his name on the ballot, was elected with a dismal amount of votes that wouldn't be supported in any election if his name was on the ballot. So my question is, if you had some integrity, I think you would resign. And I don't think that's going to happen. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd ask that you give him the opportunity to explain this dichotomy to all the concerned taxpayers and voters of Merrimack, how he's going to serve on this board after he petitioned and campaigned to eliminate it. Thank you.
As indelicate as a member comment like that may seem, this is why we are here and why we have member comments. And if anybody would like to respond to that, you have the floor. Are there any other member comments? Questions, concerns, considerations, reflections, ideas, anticipations? I think you all grew up at my house. Very well then.
y'all know I like to talk. I just would like to comment that I'm glad to be back, having just won an election. We have a lot of differences here. We have a lot of different voices, opinions, and backgrounds. And despite that, not even despite that, because of that, I am looking forward to a new year where we can all work together for what I hope is the greater good of our schools. Because that's why we're all here, is to promote our schools and to make sure that our kids get the best education they can. So those are my comments.
Unfortunately, I think Dan has a different agenda.
I expect you would.
Yes, Lori.
I would say that I agree with Jillian. And sitting on this committee last year, I got to see and experience that we had a common mission despite differing opinions, different ideologies, and we came together as a committee. I would remind the committee that we also serve the community at large, which includes people without children in the district, who are retirees, are single adults, all property owners, those kinds of people. And we all respect them, and we remember that as we serve together in those things. This is going to be an interesting year. We are looking at an interim superintendent. We will be hiring a new superintendent, and we have the opportunity as a district and a community, faculty, staff, administration, and every voice that wants to participate to have a say in the vision and direction of this district. And I think it is an exciting opportunity, as sad as we may be that Mark is leaving and the difficulties that entails. Coming out of COVID, we are going to have a fabulous, exciting opportunity to do something marvelous with this district, to bring the community together in unity, and to come together not just for our children, but for each and every one of us.
Are there any other comments?
Yes. So
Down.
I was appointed last year and voted by you guys, and it was a great honor. We're coming out of 4 years of the most heightened emotional politics, from national to your state to your local. I think that there are loopholes in all sorts of government, from the bottom to the top and back again. And just because someone gets through a loophole and doesn't agree the same way you do, doesn't mean that they should be judged as not potentially going to contribute appropriately. Everyone has different opinions, everyone works together, but like Lori and Jillian said, we're here for the common goal. So I think we need to be a little more objective versus our own subjectivity, and give everyone a chance and let them express their opinions and be the responsible community members and serve our community the best we can.
Thank you. Is there any other business to come before the committee? Seeing none, I'll call for an adjournment. Somebody make a second? All those in favor? We stand adjourned.